Dividing fractions, part 1. Let's start by looking at example A. So we have our problem of 2 divided by 1/4. We're going to start by thinking to ourselves, how many 1/4 are in 2? So now I'm going to use fraction bars to help us. So shaded in for us, we have 1 whole and 1 whole. I need to separate the blank ones into quarter pieces. So I divided each bar into 4 pieces, and now in each box I'm going to write 1/4. Now we're going to use the shaded fraction bars to help us know how many of the smaller fractions we need to shade in, and since both bars are shaded in, so we have 2 holes, I'm going to shade in all of our 1/4. So to figure out how many 1/4 we had, all I have to do is count them. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 divided by 1/4 is 8. So let's now look at example B, and we're going to do the same process. So for example B, we have 3/4 divided by 2. So when 3/4 is divided into 2 groups, how large is each group? So we have our fraction bar, and we can see that it is broken into quarters because we are dealing with 3/4. So 4 quarters is 1 whole, and 3 of them have been shaded in. So now I need to break the blank fraction bars, and I'm going to do that by thinking to myself, what is 4 times 2? And 4 times 2 is 8. So I need to break each one of these into 8. So I'm taking each 1/4 and I'm going to divide that into 2 pieces or into half. So now that I have broken each of my 1/4 into 1/8, I'm going to fill in the boxes with 1/8. So now I'm going to see that we had 3/4 shaded in, so that means I need the exact same amount of 8s shaded in. So I'm just going to box them out with this lighter blue color so we can still see the fractions. Now I need to divide that into 2 groups. So I need to know how many I have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to do 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So I need to have 3/8 in each group. So I'm going to break those up, and my groups will be outlined in red. So I have 1 group, and then I have 2 groups. So to find my answer to our problem, I know that 8 is going to be my denominator, and I just need to figure out how many 8s we had in one group. So in one group, we had 1, 2, 3, so the answer is 3/8. So we're going to use our understanding of division to model the problem 5/6 divided by 2. So when 5/6 is divided into 2 groups, how large is each group? So I'm going to take my first fraction bar and I'm going to break that up into 6, since that is the denominator for the fraction we have. So I've divided our first fraction bar into 6, and now I need to divide our second fraction bar, and I'm going to do that by thinking to myself, what is 6 times 2? And that is 12. So my denominator here is going to have to be 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1/6 and cut it in half, and then each one of those boxes is going to be 1/12. So now that I have divided both my fraction bars, I'm going to go back up to my first fraction bar, and I'm going to block out 5/6. So I need 5 of my squares. I'm going to outline that in this blue, dark blue. And I'm going to go down to my 12ths, and I'm going to do the same thing because we're going to have the same amount of pieces down here. And now I need to figure out how many 12th squares we had, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I need to take those 10 squares and I need to divide them into 2 groups. And I know that 10 divided by 2 is 5. So there should be 5 squares in each group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in red, I'm going to block out my groups. So I have one group, and then I have 2 groups. Now to get my answer, 12 is going to be my denominator, because that is the denominator of our fraction bars that we are using, and I just need to know how many 1/12ths we had in each group. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so my numerator is 5. So our answer is 5/12. Now we're going to do the same thing for 2 divided by 1/3. So we need to figure out how many 1/3s are in 2. So I'm going to take my first fraction bar and I'm going to cut that in half. And each side of this is going to equal 1 whole. So now I need to divide my bottom fraction bar. So I cut that in half, and I know that 3 1/3s are going to be in each whole. So I'm going to divide each side into 3, and then I'm going to fill in my boxes with 1/3. So now I'm going to go up to our first fraction bar, and I know that we have 2 wholes, so I need this entire bar. I need both of them. So that is 2 wholes, and I outlined that in yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing down here, because I need all of this. And now I need to count how many thirds we had. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many 1/3s are in 2? There are 6. So while using a model is great, let's talk about the faster way to divide fractions. So we're going to talk about the steps. So when we're dividing fractions, the first thing you're going to do is change each mixed number to an improper fraction. And then we're going to rewrite the first fraction, then change the division to multiplication, find the reciprocal of the second fraction, then we can multiply, and then we need to simplify. So we have 6 divided by 3/4. And I'm going to start by putting 6 over 1, and then just rewriting the rest of my problem. So I'm going to leave our first fraction. I am going to keep our first fraction. So we have 6 over 1. And then I'm going to change division to multiplication. And then I'm going to flip the second fraction. So keep, change, flip. So now I have 6 over 1 times 4/3. And now I can go ahead and multiply. So I'm going to have 6 times 4, which is equal to 24. 1 times 3, which is equal to 3. And I can simplify. Remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do the top, and vice versa. And I know that I can divide 24 by 3. So I'm going to divide top and bottom by 3 to get 8 over 1. And the 1 is not necessary because it's a whole number. So my answer is 8. So now we're going to do it again. We have 2/5 divided by 3. So I'm going to start by rewriting our problem. So 2/5 divided by 3, and I'm going to put that over 1 since it's a whole number. We keep our first fraction, so 2/5. We change division to multiplication, and then we flip the second fraction, so 1/3. Now I can multiply. So we have 2 times 1, which is equal to 2. 5 times 3, which is equal to 15. So our answer is 2/15. So now we have 2 3/4 divided by 5, and the first thing we need to do is change our mixed number into an improper fraction. And I'm going to do this by taking my denominator and multiplying it by my whole number. So 4 times 2, and then adding our numerator, so plus 3. So 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to take 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. The denominator stays 4, so I'm going to have 11 fourths divided by 5 over 1. So I'm going to keep the first fraction, 11 over 4, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So I have 11 fourths times 1/5. So I'm going to take 11 times 1, which is equal to 11. 4 times 5, which equals 20. And our answer is 11/20. So as we divide fractions in real-world situations, consider asking yourself the following questions to help guide your thinking and help you understand the situation. So what is being split up? What value represents the number of groups? What value represents the size of the groups? Does your solution make sense in the context of the situation? Kayla works at a pizza place. The tomato sauce cans contain 14 cups of sauce. If each pizza uses 3/5 cups of tomato sauce, how many medium pizzas can Kayla make with 1 can of tomato sauce? So what do we know? So we know that there are 3/5 cups of sauce per pizza and that there are 14 cups in 1 can. So what do we need to know? So we need to find out how many medium pizzas can Kayla make. So we're going to take our 14 cups and divide it by the 3.5. And I'm going to put 14 over 1 so that it's a fraction. So we keep the first fraction, 14 over 1, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So we have 14 times 5, 1 times 3. So I'm going to do 14 times 5 over here on the side. So 5 times 4 is 20. Put down my 0, carry my 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 70. So 14 times 5 is equal to 70. 1 times 3 is 3. And now I need to simplify. And I'm going to do that by doing division. So I know that 3 can go into 7 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down my 0. 3 can go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, and we get 1. So I know that Kayla can make 23 whole pizzas, and then there is 1/3 left over. So what is our answer? Well, we want to know how many pizzas she can make. So how many whole pizzas can she make? So she can make 23 whole pizzas.